this live Facebook video from Sage Summit in Toronto. This is very exciting. This is the 8th and final stop on a tour by Sage. Of course, they're best known for their accounting and payroll and HR, software and services, some great stuff, regardless of the size of your business, whether you're a solopreneur and all the way up to enterprise and everyone in between. I'm thrilled to be sitting with Kriti. Sorry, I called her Pretty earlier, and that was not coming on to her.
Well, we did rehearse.
We did rehearse. Yes, this is pretty off the cuff, as you can tell. This is Kriti Sharma. She is not only a Forbes 30 under 30, I may add, but she's the VP of AI and Bots at Sage. So it's a pleasure to sit and chat with you.
Thank you so much.
And she's like, oh, you called me Pretty on Facebook Live. As I explained, my wife has a friend named Pretty, but this is Kriti Sharma. And it's really, you were great on stage today showing a new product we're going to get to called PEG. This is an AI-driven chatbot, which is very exciting. If I'm not mistaken, the world's first accounting chatbot.
That's right.
Wow.
Really cool, huh?
Yeah, very cool. So first of all, how's your show? Before we talk about that, how is Sage Summit Toronto for you?
Well, it has been amazing. This is our last stop on the Sage Summit tour. It has been fantastic. The crowd this morning was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'm personally very excited to be part of it, because mainly because AI, artificial intelligence in Canada is booming right now.
Mm-hmm.
So lots of amazing talent. We're so excited to be launching our AI products here in this market.
Yeah, so over 2,000 people are here, and they were all watching you on stage. No pressure. You looked pretty cool as a cucumber. Is all good?
I get a lot of energy from being on stage.
Yeah, it's good. You were great and natural.
But only when I talk about things that I really care about. So I love building AI, and I love robotics, and then I talk about that. It gives me a lot of energy. So
Yeah.
that's pretty much that.
Awesome. So let's talk about that. Let's talk a bit about your day-to-day life. What's work like at Sage when you specialize in artificial intelligence and chatbots?
Yeah, I think it's quite unusual, because it's not the kind of role you would expect at an accounting software company. But at Sage, we are very passionate about building new technology that kind of makes accounting invisible. And by that I mean, don't even realize you're doing accounting, because hey, no entrepreneur ever loved creating expense reports and
They
chasing
don't?
invoices.
Oh, who knew? Yeah, I guess the more that you can reduce the barriers of entry, the more we can focus on getting our work done and being productive and competitive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So with artificial intelligence, big data, mobile technologies, and cloud, now we are at a point where we can translate these complex data sets into information that humans understand. Like, how's my business doing?
Right.
How much money do I have? Who do I owe money to?
In natural language.
What do I need to do? Yeah. So instead of learning the accounting jargons or understanding complex business software systems, it becomes as easy as chatting with a friend.
Yeah, and we'll talk about how you did that with PEG, which is coming out. Oh, it's available now in Canada, is that right?
That's right. So it becomes publicly available from next month.
Okay, next month. So PEG is P-E-G-G, by the way. And I do want to remind you, for all of those of you watching us on Facebook Live, that we encourage you to ask questions. Please leave comments underneath the video. We will get to them. We have some personnel here who can help, so we would love to have Kriti answer your questions for you about Sage, about AI, about chatbots, about the future of where we're going, really, of business software. And Sage has really made a mark. I mean, we're talking over 3 million customers in over 24 countries, and not resting on your laurels. You've got this technology that's looking at the next few decades. You know, the company's been around since the 80s. It was founded over a discussion in a pub in the UK, which is awesome, and now look at where they are today. But thanks to you and everything that you bring to the table, they're now doubling down on technology in order to help service your customers even more.
That's right. So AI is just at the beginning of its technology, of the adoption. So it's kind of like, I feel quite excited, because it feels like the early days of websites. I don't remember what that felt like, but I've heard, you know, it's very nascent technology. We're still getting used to it, and AI is pretty much at that stage. So we have so much more to go.
Yeah.
And this is an exponential technology, so it learns so much faster. 10 years ago, 2007-ish, Siri was starting to become more consumerized, and it wouldn't work half the time.
Right.
I don't quite understand what you just said.
Right.
But now we've seen this technology become so much smarter, and with 95% accuracy levels for AI to understand what you're saying and give you the right answers is very powerful. And for us to deploy that in our world, Like we had websites in the 90s and mobile apps in the 2000s, now is the time for AI. And we're very excited to bring it to small businesses, to entrepreneurs who wouldn't have that technology otherwise.
Now, you're talking about voice interaction, which I believe you demonstrated in Atlanta at Sage Summit. But to clarify for our Canadian viewers, PEG is going to be a chatbot via text to start with, like, for example, Facebook. And the platform that you're watching us on right now, you can go into Messenger, you invite PEG as a contact, as a friend, and then you would speak in natural language. So I think you gave us a couple of small examples earlier, but maybe you can walk us through a few other applications and ways that we can interface with PEG in your testing, like you demonstrated today on stage. What could your customers who may be watching, or would-be customers, what could they do? What could they say?
Sure. So just a simple example is expense reports. We all hate it. So my travel here to Toronto from London, I've been using this technology rather than just creating a pile of receipts, really. We all love chatting. More than 1 billion people are already using Facebook Messenger every day, and that's fun, but doing your expense reports is not.
It's not.
So just being able to give everyone a personal assistant in their pocket is just incredible, and our users absolutely love that. So you can create an expense report. You can chase who hasn't paid next. Stephen Kelly, our CEO, he still owes me $5,000 for building
You
robots.
said that on stage. I didn't know if that was true.
Well, but also more importantly, rather than just doing tasks, getting access to information that you really need. So how's my business doing? How's the performance this month versus last? And over time, it becomes predictive. So it knows what you're going to ask, and it does those tasks for you without you having to request information. And it speaks emojis.
So you can make an emoji smiley face or a sad face, and then you may hear PEG say something back.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much based on sentiment analysis.
Yeah.
It knows what kind of sentiment you're feeling. We're also working on detecting sarcasm, which is quite fun.
Is that right? And that may vary from country to country,
That's
too,
right.
or depending on the person, right? Your humor may be more dry than others or whatever.
Yeah, PEG it started with British accounting humor. Now we're adapting it. There is such a thing.
Accounting humor, who knew?
Right,
okay.
Yeah.
I don't think Monty Python was known for that, but it's you never know.
Yeah, but we also have some very interesting roles in our group, including a guy who's a conversation designer. So, like in the web or mobile area, you would have people who design screens and UI and UX, but for us, it's the words that you use and the tone of voice. AI is great at solving problems and completing tasks, not so good yet at defining its own personality, so that's a human element that comes into play.
Okay, great. Again, we're chatting with Kriti Sharma. She is the VP of AI and Bots at Sage, based in the UK. But we're here at Sage Summit Toronto, the final stop on this whirlwind tour that spanned the globe. And we're thrilled to have you here, not just because of all what Sage offers, and you have tens of thousands of customers in Canada, but AI is very much a part of the Toronto zeitgeist right now, and the tech scene, where we've got tons of startups and some more mature companies that have doubled down on AI. Why do you think AI is, you were saying how websites were big in the 90s, and then the app revolution, and AI is the next stage in the evolution of mobile services, if you will. When you're right, we all carry these things, so why can't we leverage them for things like expense reporting? But why do you think it's such a hot topic right now?
Well, I think the biggest reason is amount of data that has been created and our power to store it and process it, which we did not have before.
Right.
If you asked me to do this kind of model in like 10 years ago, it would be so much harder. It would probably take 2 days for me to process a simple query with the smartest solutions. But now compute power is quite powerful. We all have been using digital solutions like Twitter, Facebook, all of these solutions. So there's a lot of data for us to learn from and to train our technology from. The cost is going down, so that's another one. I do worry about the AI hype, though, and to some extent it's actually a bigger issue because 200 startups have been acquired by Google, Facebook, Microsoft, and IBM just in the last few years who are doing AI. So to some extent, the whole AI IP is going back to the 4 or 5 big tech giants.
You think that will stifle innovation? Is that what you're concerned about?
It is a challenge.
Yeah.
And this restricts a lot of other companies from leveraging it. So what Canada is doing, a very interesting model where Element AI, just to give you an example, with $102 million raised in Series A just a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and their model is to use these technologies to help businesses who don't know what to do with AI or where do I start, and they're going to create a model which is a combination of consulting and building some own in-house AI, and I think that's going to solve a lot of problems.
There are those who are worried that AI and chatbots, which are built upon AI, will replace human jobs. I mean, I know we've seen chatbots starting with website where you click the little live chat tab and then you type in a query like I need help with my Windows or whatever, and then an AI, a human-like person or software rather, would reply, and then only when it couldn't process the next step, it sends it to a human person. But I read, and correct me if I'm wrong if your research has shown otherwise, that IBM's Watson, you reference IBM, that they claim that for every job that AI takes away, a human job, it creates, on average, 4.5 new jobs. They're just different jobs, right? You know, like things like engineering, software, coding, that kind of thing. Do you hear, being a VP of AI and chatbots, that, oh, you're going to take away my kid's job or what have you?
Well, I actually don't think about it at a job level because that's where the media hype and sensation around it versus the reality kicks in. So instead of replacing humans, it's replacing processes that humans are spending time doing.
Sure.
So I wouldn't say it's going to replace this panel with robots, but it could replace parts of what we're doing.
Right.
Collecting data, providing us information, prompting us with the right comments, right questions to ask, right direction to take. And that's what's going to happen. So, for example, might not replace doctors right away, but it would take a lot of their pain away by doing preliminary screening.
Sure.
And that's the right way.
And all the admin stuff they have to do too, and behind the scenes.
Yeah, exactly. At least for the next decade or so. And we'll see a lot more specialized AI rather than artificial general intelligence.
Sure.
That's at least a decade away. You start to see some incredible applications like the driverless cars, and what's happening with medicine and surgery. Radiology is a great example, and in our worlds with bookkeeping and accounting. So not replacing those roles, but just making humans smarter is where we're going.
So augmenting rather than replacing.
That's right.
Okay.
Yes.
We could have probably used some technology help in telling us who's writing questions and all that, but we went with like this old school handwritten way. Could you read that? I'm having trouble reading the marker. I think it came, I could see it a little darker at the bottom.
Sure, I can.
Unless you want to just verbally say.
No, that's fine. So question from Eric. How long did it take to create PEG technology?
Oh, okay.
Well, I would say...
Okay.
So, yeah, great question. So I would say to build bad or poorly designed AI does not take a very long time. To get 80% right, it's a matter of using out-of-the-box technologies. You can do it within a matter of a few days. But it's really about taking the accuracy from 80 to 95.
Yeah, that's the challenge.
And that's where most of the effort is. So, yeah, it's an evolution. It would be unfair to say we built it in a year because it's been building on top of technologies that have been developed for many, many, many years and decades, in fact. My favorite AI is from the 60s. It's called Eliza as a psychotherapist. It's amazing.
Oh, really?
You guys should check it out. It is just incredible. Well, it does answer a question with a question, but it can totally trick you into being as smart as humans.
I want to go off topic for a moment and ask you what made you become excited and interested about AI to the point that that was going to be your career. What was it about it that fascinated you?
Well, I was a bit bored as a teenager, just like building stuff, and I ended up accidentally building a robot. It didn't
accidentally.
It didn't do anything very useful. It just would bring me Snickers from the snack bar. It was like a physical moving robot.
Yeah.
And I found it quite fun to be able to automate parts of my life. Who wouldn't want a Snickers
exactly.
at 3 p.m. every day? So that's how it all started. But then the technology became more mature. And also when I was 16, I worked with in a government research lab in India, and I saw the first human speech recognition system where this crazy scientist was talking to a computer and I was like, oh, that looks cool, I want to do that. And also a little bit of sci-fi influence in the early days.
Wow, that's really cool. And Stephen Kelly, your CEO, was telling me about your background. You used to refurbish computers and then you taught kids on coding?
Yeah, well, so the computer thing Well, I actually just built it because there wasn't one. So
Yeah.
where I grew up, well, what do? You need
Yeah.
a computer to just build it.
Right.
So.
Instead of throwing it out, though, if you can refurbish it, and that takes some
I
skills.
just had some components and
Yeah,
I put
it's
it all
great.
together. It was actually quite fun, and then I just used it to teach kids, and I still teach. So
Yeah.
now at Sage we've launched Bot Camp in the UK, where we teach
Awesome.
kids how to build AI and bots, and that's going to be really fun.
Oh, that sounds awesome. We have a question from Wayne. This one I can read, so I'll take the reins here. How fast will AI grow to be more sophisticated?
Right.
That's a great question. So on a scale from 1 to 10, how sophisticated would you say PEG is, and where will it go from there?
I just try to stay away from making these statements about AI in general, because, like I said, it's not about replacing humans. It's very good at doing certain tasks that it is given.
Right.
Now, what you see, as I said earlier, with driverless technology, that is AI in action. It's doing that stuff. Or Google predicting the next few words, it's already doing that work.
Mm-hmm.
Alexa with an Amazon technology at 95% accuracy with in certain languages.
Right.
It is pretty incredible. PEG does the same with certain workflows. I wouldn't say it was completely automated business life for now, but it is on that journey. What's important to note is the exponential growth, so how quickly it gets better and what we're seeing in the last 2 years. In fact, there was a research that came out and said by 2020, people will spend more time talking to robots and talking to their spouse.
Oh, really? Wow. So by 2020, people will be spending more time talking to robots, chatbots, and maybe physical robots than our own spouses.
That's
Okay,
right.
interesting. Scary, but fascinating at the same time. So I did mention earlier, and I know it's not available yet, so I don't want to mislead our viewers, but natural language is the next step after typing. So I think whether it's PEG or another product, you are working on natural language processes. I mean, again, it's going to be, you can also multitask. You can be driving to work and say, hey, how does this look, right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way to look at it is there are different models that are being built, but many of them use the same underlying technology. So getting from text to voice is not going to be a huge amount of effort.
Right.
We're going through a transformation as a society in general, where whatever happened with smartphones a few years ago is now happening with AI-enabled devices, and with 5G coming in 2020, it's going to change lives. But 3G, the difference between 3G to 4G was huge. 4G to 5G is going to be even more.
Just in terms of speed or
speed,
distance?
processing power. So
Yeah, okay.
you'll be able to do a lot more at device level.
Okay.
And that's going to impact our lives in a lot of ways. You don't even realize you're doing a lot of processes. It just happened because you have so many sensors collecting information.
Also with 5G speeds, the concept of downloading may be almost gone because everything will be streamed in real time, right? Or in the cloud, and you're just accessing it as if that data was stored locally.
Yeah, and you probably don't even care what's in the cloud or not.
Yeah, as long as it's secure, right?
That's right.
That's how, especially when you talk about businesses.
Yeah, actually security is a very interesting point, because with chatbots, they often get asked that, is my data secure? What are you doing with it? And we look at it from a very interesting perspective. It's not just about making sure technically it's secure, of course, we got to get that right, but there's a very significant social engineering component to it. When you're talking to a chatbot, if a human takes over the bot, and then now you're starting to share information with a person rather than a machine, and the other way around, we're talking to a person and a bot takes over, whether it's cyber attack or just manipulation, it's a different challenge, and the dynamics of human-computer interface interactions are interesting. But then there's also a scarier part where bots can take over other bots, and you're starting to see that. In fact, Facebook released this report 2 days ago where their AI bots have learned to negotiate business transactions.
Amazing.
I want 20% discount, you want 30%, we settle at 25, and these are two bots talking to each other in their own
It's
world.
amazing. It is scary but fascinating. It's amazing. But again, the idea for the reason why Sage, through you and your team, has developed PEG is to better service your customers,
That's right.
To take away some of those pain points, let them conduct business wherever life takes them, even if their hands are occupied, by using their voice or by texting with this one digital Swiss Army knife we don't live without. So, I mean, obviously the benefits outweigh some of the challenges, which they will be overcome, because this is where we're going, right? So,
Yeah,
very cool.
absolutely. I'm actually very fascinated with what's going to happen with brain-computer interface technology, where you don't even have to speak or type.
Well, Zuckerberg said
Exactly.
that.
Yeah, the work they're doing with DARPA is incredible.
That sounds like science fiction, though. Can you really think a sentence and have it typed out?
Yeah, it's actually happening. But similar to drone technology, driverless cars, and the same with brain-computer interface, it's less about technology, it's more about the adoption and solving some of the ethical concerns around that, policy, regulation to enable this technology. I think a lot of it's going to come from using it for the right purpose.
Sure.
You could use it, with every technology. It could be destructive or constructive, and if you're deploying it in the right areas and the right fields and helping people, then you can get through those hurdles much faster.
Yeah, it's a good point that you raise, Kriti, because you can't blame the technology. It's not inherently good or bad. It's what humans choose to do with it, right? A 3D printer can print a custom prosthetic to help someone walk, yet that same product, that same device can 3D print a gun. For someone, so you can't blame the technology. It's what we do with it, right?
Sure.
Whether we use or abuse it, right? That's going to determine it. We have a question from Candace. How can we encourage more women to pursue engineering and coding? This is, I'm assuming, as big of a story in the UK as it is in North America, where we have a challenge to get young girls excited about STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. In Canada, only 16% of IT jobs are held by women. And that number dwindles as we go up to VP and higher roles there. So what could we do about that? You're a great role model. So how do you communicate that?
It's the same everywhere. UK has the same problem. US also. I don't think it's a very simple solution, because otherwise we would have done that. The way I look at it is, it's not just about women, but diversity in all forms is amazing. Like in my team, we have linguists, we have people who understand social challenges, interaction models, data scientists, all kinds of roles. And it's really about opening up to a broader community and sharing what kind of opportunities exist. When I studied in high school, computer science was pretty much black and white screens, and you had to do a lot of work, and then maybe you would. You
don't look old enough for that.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome. I remember the green. Remember the green monitors?
Yeah, but that was only 10 years ago. So.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah,
it was longer than that.
Well, when you study in college, that's what they used to teach you. And then there were the mobile apps, so you could very quickly build something and show it to your friends on an app. And now you can build AI very quickly. So just bringing that. That quick feedback is very important, and rather than just focusing on the technology, focus on problem solving, because we talk a lot about how do you become an expert in certain technology, but we need more people who understand problems and then use technology to solve them. There's a bigger gap in the applied engineering, applied tech community, which needs to be solved. And like with any other technology, early days of websites, you had to be a specialist technologist to build a website, a developer.
Yeah.
Now you could go to WordPress and it's done.
Yeah, you had to be a programmer, really, to make a website, it seemed like, and then you pull in some graphic design and all that. Now with, plug and play solutions out of the box. I made a website using GoDaddy's website builder tool in like under an hour, and I'm not a coder, so it is getting easier. But, I don't want to answer my own question to you, but, I always, when I talk to school boards, across Canada, I always encourage more, integrating more STEM in the curriculum, not just as an after-school extracurricular activity, whether it's like a maker fair or a robotics camp or a video game course or something. I always say try to make it part of the curriculum, make it mandatory if they can, just because it's going to only better their chances of getting a job when they graduate.
Yeah, I think also role models really help. And it doesn't have to be a gender-specific role model. It could just be people like you and I who are building stuff and just getting accessibility, talking to them, and getting information out. So working on real problems is really fun. And the fact that you can build and launch a product in less than an hour and reach billions of people. The boss we build on Messenger when I teach kids, they launch a product to a billion people in under an hour. And they get really excited about it.
Yeah.
So that's great.
That's awesome. I wanted to circle back and talk about SAGE again. So we've spent most of our time talking about PEG. these AI-powered, this AI-powered chatbot. Are there any other technologies that you're working on or that may exist already within Sage's breadth of solutions that maybe our viewers don't know about?
Yeah, mobile for sure. So we've been building some great products in partnership with Apple. I do a lot of work on social products with Facebook primarily, and also Slack. So those technologies are definitely driving a lot of adoption, are being adopted already. There are certain interesting things happening with blockchain in the labs sort of environment. And we are building, in addition to robotics, like physical humanoid robots, 4 feet tall, right here at Sage Summit. Come check it out. We're also working on augmented reality. It's a whole new interface of bringing data, information into the real world without using external devices.
Can you give us an example of that? I'm trying to imagine how AR, or augmented reality, and accounting or payroll services all come together.
Well, it's less about technology, it's more about problem solving. So, we have a product X3 in manufacturing, warehousing world, so just be able to visualize information while you're going through your stock and supplies. And even think about drones in the auditing world. If you have to go and audit a mine or an agricultural field, today it happens once a year when a person goes in and does a survey. Be able to capture that data in real time using drone technology. You don't even have to wait for a year to do your annual auditing.
Right. And if you fuse AR, or augmented reality, with drones, the camera that the drone sees, that when it's analyzing the area, it could maybe calculate data and superimpose information on top, like numbers of, like on top of the physical world, so that when you're viewing the camera footage from that drone, it'll be augmented with digital information.
Yeah, and instead of, I would even take it to the next level. You don't even have to sit there and watch a video of an agricultural field or a mine for an hour, because the drones can process those images so quickly.
Show you only the relevant bits.
And just translate it into a simple chart or a sentence or a few words on how your business is doing. That is the power of image processing, which was previously only guys with NASA could have, but now we all can.
Amazing. As we start to wind up, I want to ask you, to what do you attribute Sage's success?
I think the people are amazing. I've only been here for just over a year.
That's all right.
Yeah, but I absolutely love the entrepreneurial spirit in the company. We build software for businesses, and we act like entrepreneurs ourselves.
Yeah, and Stephen Kelly said it feels like a startup, right?
Yeah, just getting stuff done is much easier.
And that's the challenge. That's a great answer, by the way, is that the bigger the organization gets, you would think the harder it will be to execute on something, because there's that many layers, all that red tape. But if you have the spirit of a startup and you keep that vision in mind, that you're here to help service your millions of customers and all that, then the sky's the limit. And you're proof of that by paving the way for where we're going to go in the coming months and years. And we're very excited about PEG. Is there a website where people can learn more about it or see it in action, even simulated?
Yeah, hellopeg.io. Just go in there and chat with PEG.
Hellopeg.io, so it's hellopeg.io. Kriti Sharma, thank you so much, VP of AI and Chatbots. It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Thanks, Mark.
And I know that even if you didn't catch this live, if you want to write comments or questions, I know someone from the Sage social team will reply, or one of us can get the message, so we encourage you to do so if you're not watching this live. And I want to thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Mark.
Enjoy the rest of Sage Summit Toronto. Marc Saltzman, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Ciao.